Hello and welcome to Best Bets. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary, joined as always by Newsday's NFL pick columnist Joe Manniello. Hello, Joe. How's it going?
Doing good, Matt. How are you?
Doing pretty good. A winning week for you last week. We had seven games, so 4-3 for you to go up to 41, 35, and 3. I went 3-4. I'm 36, 41, and 2. So hoping to bounce back this week and an interesting slate of games here in week 14.
Yep, ready to go. Next week is this is the last week of the buys, and then really before you know it, there'll be the playoffs. So it's gonna be fun.
It goes very quickly, and we will start with the locals, starting with the New York Jets, who travel on the road to Buffalo to take on the Bills. The Bills are favored by 9.5 points here. What's your feel?
Well, this is similar to the first game they played. You and I both took the Jets. We both thought that line was too high. They were getting 11.5 at home. They wound up winning the game 2017. The defense played amazing. Josh Allen's worst game of the year, didn't throw a touchdown, picked off twice, and but the Bills weren't 100% in that game. So they're home now. They kind of regrouped after losing to the Jets and Vikings. They're 9-3. They're the one seed in the AFC. So I still think the spread's a couple points too high. I think 9.5. I feel like it should be more like 7.5 or 8. But I guess the way the Bills are playing, and I'm taking the Jets here because they're 4-0 after a loss. I think the defense is too good to get blown out, and they won that game with Zach Wilson at quarterback, and now Mike White has totally breathed some life into this offense, and I think they'll be able to score. So even if this game's in the high 20s, I think the Jets can score in the 20 to 24 range here and cover. I think they can win this game, but the only thing I'm concerned about is that yesterday there's news that there's a flu bug going around the Jets locker room, and that's never a good sign. And a couple of big players are involved with it too. So who knows if that's just maybe they'll be fine by Sunday, but that gives me pause. I'm still going to take the Jets here, but I'm not as confident as them covering now. I think it'll be a close game, 27-20, 27-24. Bills will probably win, but I would not be shocked, as like many others would, that the Jets can win this game. They beat them with Zach Wilson, and he didn't really do anything. He threw 154 yards and had a short touchdown pass. So if Mike White plays the way he's been playing, and Sauce Gardner locks down Stephon Diggs, I think this will be close again. And I just don't. It's amazing how the NFL works. A few weeks ago, everyone thought the Bills, they're not as good as we thought, and now because they won a couple games in a row, they're going to romp to the Super Bowl. So I would not be shocked if the Jets win this game, but the flu thing makes me back off a little bit. But I'll take the 9.5 points. I think the number's still too high.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that number is too high. Going into this one, I thought it'd be closer to 6.5, something like that, maybe a touchdown. But for me, I know that the Buffalo Bills are getting a little healthier on defense. Milano might come back this week. He missed the first go-around. You lose Von Miller for the season, but Trey White is back at corner. Poyer's back at safety now, so I think that's going to make a difference for them. As you said, I wouldn't be stunned if the Jets won this game, but I think it's a very difficult ask to beat this Buffalo team twice in the same season, but I think they're definitely good enough to keep this one close. I was thinking, I know it's a score you mentioned, 27-20. That's what I was thinking. A little back and forth kind of game, but in the end, Buffalo's offense is good enough to pull ahead. I think they're going to be extremely motivated against the Jets, who beat them last time. That was, one of the bigger upsets at the time of the season, and this Jets defense is good enough to hang around. We saw it against the Minnesota Vikings last week. I'd be surprised if it's a double-digit victory for the Bills, but I'm with you. I'm going to take the Jets getting 9.5 points here. Who knows? Maybe we'll see another upset here. As for the Giants, they are taking on the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are favored by 6.5 points. Who do you like?
The Eagles were my pick before the season to go to the Super Bowl to represent the NFC, and they played amazing. But the NFL season's long. I start overthinking, and you read into matchups. So last week we both like the Titans. I love the Titans. I thought they were going to win the game. Lock of the week. They lose 35-10. So maybe the Eagles' run defense isn't as bad as I thought, and maybe I was just buying into the whole fact that they can't be this good. But I love the Eagles in this matchup. I don't think this game's going to be close. I don't see how the Giants secondary is going to be able to keep up with the Eagles passing game with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Jalen Hurts, dual threat quarterback. I love what the Giants have done this season. I think they're one of the best stories. Dayball, still probably the coach of the year in my opinion. But I got to go with the Eagles here, 6.5. It's not a big number. It's the first time they've played, so they won't be like we already played them, we already beat them. I think the Eagles will be up for this game, the rivalry game, and not much analysis on this one. I just don't see the Giants defense slowing them down. I'd be shocked if the Eagles score under 27. I think I got it like 31-20, and it might even be worse than that. I just don't see the Giants stopping them. And the Giants season's really going to come down to next week. They need to beat Washington next Sunday night. So, this is why I'm not an NFL coach, but I would put more effort into that into that game than this game, because I feel like they can't win this game. I'd be shocked if the Giants win. So I'll lay the number on the road, big number on the road. Eagles roll.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one too. Usually in a divisional matchup on the road, I don't love taking the big favorite at 6.5 for the Eagles, but in this spot, I think I really do. And for a lot of the reasons that you just listed out there, offensively, this team is just a juggernaut. I think, Jalen Hurts is really making a case to be the MVP this year. And he's extremely mobile, and he's gotten a lot better at throwing the football. AJ Brown helps that a lot. And I just don't think the Giants defense is going to be able to do enough to hang in this one. I agree. I think this could get ugly, like 34-17, something like that. I think the Eagles are just, they've been steamrolling teams. We both were on the wrong end picking against them last week. I'm not going to make that same mistake 2 weeks in a row. I think the Eagles take care of business pretty handedly at MetLife.
Yep.
As for our game of the week, we're going to go with the 49ers and the Bucks. 49ers still favored by 3.5 after losing Jimmy G. What's your feel on this one?
Yeah, well, last week I picked against the Niners. I love the Dolphins, but maybe that was biased because I picked them to win the Super Bowl. But the Niners defense showed me something last week. I knew they were already good, but to give up that first touchdown in the first play of the game against the Dolphins and then hold them 10 points the rest of the game, that was impressive. And Brock Purdy, this guy is Mr. Irrelevant, which is, last player taken in this year's draft. That's what they call the guys. For anyone listening who doesn't know that phrase, against Tom Brady. Tom Brady against Brock Purdy. It sounds like an easy pick, right? But you can't pick it based on that. And Brady isn't who he used to be, even though he's manufactured some late drives against the Saints last week and then the Rams earlier in the year. The Bucks to me are major disappointment. I don't trust them at all. We both of us aren't fans of Todd Bowles. Offensive line has injuries. They just haven't played up to their potential, and I think this is a tough matchup. I think to see the Niners rallying around Brock Purdy. Last week he played well in relief of Jimmy G. He threw 2 touchdowns. He's not going to win the game for you, but I don't think he's going to lose the game. I think this is more about the Niners defense, and I see them winning a low-scoring game, 24-16 kind of game. Can't count out Brady the way he's been playing late in games, but the first 3 quarters for the Bucks have been so bad. The only game they played well this year, I feel like, was the opener against Dallas, and then the second game against New Orleans, and then they played three really good games, and just Germany game. But for the most part, they've just been, you don't want to back them at all. I don't feel confident taking them at all. And the Niners at home, that defense, just a dominant defense, and knowing that they have Purdy in there, he's not going to, they're going to have to keep the Bucks in the teens, I think, or low 20s to win. So I think they get the job done. That pass rush is going to get after Brady, and that's the way to beat him. So I like the Niners to cover here, 24-16.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to make it 3 for 3 here with the 49ers. I just don't trust Todd Bowles. I think Brady really bailed him out last week because he went, ultra conservative, punted away, down big a couple of times in the fourth quarter, and got bailed out by Tom Brady, and I forget who it was on the Saints who ran out of bounds to give them a little bit of an extra chance there. But this 49ers defense is dominant. To me, the best defense in football. It's not really particularly close. They're just incredible week in and week out. And I agree with you. I think Brock Purdy is going to do enough in this game. They're not going to ask him to, be a superstar, but with McCaffrey and Debo, they have enough offensive weapons where they could kind of hide some of his, deficiencies. And they're winning a lot of games with Jimmy Garoppolo, who many people wouldn't put as like an elite level quarterback. I think he's fine, but they don't really need someone to be this elite level player at that position to win. They're going to play their good defense. They're going to run the football, and they're going to scheme guys open. And I think that happens this week. I agree. I think it's going to be relatively low scoring. I'll go like maybe 24-13, something like that. But I just don't trust this Bucs team. I know they came back in a crazy one, but I don't think Todd Bowles is any good.
Yep.
As for a best bet, what's one that really jumps out to you this week?
Yeah, my best bets have. I've had a winning year overall, but my best bets have been bad. So I'm going to keep it simple this week, and I'm going to go with the team that I lost last week. I think they're gonna roll this week. Kansas City at Denver. I think they're laying 9.5.
Yep.
As long as that number is not over 10, I feel good about it. Even if it was over 10, I'd probably still take them. Has Patrick Mahomes. I don't know if you remember his first career start was the Week 17 game when I think the Kansas City was out of it. playoff pitcher who, or maybe they might have even made it clinched it and he started. But that was his first game, first time we saw him, and he won. He had a couple of great throws. Since then, he's never lost to Denver. He's 9-0 for his career, and Kansas City, they're 9-3. Last week they lost to the Bengals. In the previous two spots after a loss, they scored 41 against Tampa and 44 against the Niners, who we just talked about, both teams, interestingly enough. I like the Chiefs here. I think they're going to roll. Denver, lowest scoring team in the NFL. Every week it's like bingo. They either get 13, 9, or 16 or 10. They never score more than 16. They've only scored more than 16 points twice all year, which is unbelievable to me. And that team is just a joke. They got to get rid of the coach. Yep. Bring in a new coach there to get Russell Wilson straightened out. And I think the Chiefs will be motivated here. No longer the one seed in the AFC. I think they roll here, maybe 31-16, 31-13, something like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Chiefs absolutely dominate, and it's just crazy how the Broncos seemed like they could never crack the 20-point mark, and I think Chiefs put up a bunch of points. I'm going to go with your favorite team, the Miami Dolphins, against the Chargers this week. Dolphins -3.5. They're coming off a loss.
Up to 3.5 now? Wow.
Yeah, up to 3.5 now.
Wow.
Coming off a loss, a little bit banged up, but I think this team is too good to lose two straight, and I have no faith in the Los Angeles Chargers. I think, Staley got a lot of love last year for being uber aggressive on fourth downs, and it worked until it didn't in the last week of the year. And they just, I don't know, they're another team in my eyes that have, underachieved massively. And I just think Miami's better, even with their, injuries. They're banged up on the offensive line, but I think they're good enough to win this game, even on the road. I think they take care of business, win this one by 7 or so, 30-23, something like that.
Yeah, I like the Dolphins too, but it's going to be a close game because that's all the Chargers do, play close games.
Yeah, that's true. The Chargers do play a ton of close games.
I think the Dolphins win too.
Let's go to an underdog. What's one that jumps out there?
Yeah, I only like a few underdogs this week, so that's never a good sign. But it's only 13 games. I think I like 4 underdogs, so it's not that bad. But there's two that I like the most, so I'm going to go with one. The other one is Carolina at Seattle. I like them off a bye. I don't know. Seattle's kind of a weird team. I think Carolina can cover that game, so low spread, 3.5. I'm going to go with Arizona Monday night at home, getting 1.5 from the Patriots. Arizona is one of the teams I despise picking. I think they're like one of the most frustrating teams, another underachiever. I don't like the coach. Quarterback is not happy. But they're off a bye, and two reasons I like them. One is this is more like just a field thing, but they're the team with a hard knocks team this year in season. So they've basically been nothing but turmoil, in fighting Kingsbury and Murray. And I think that they need to put something good out there. They'll be motivated to, hey, let's get a good episode out there. That could be just me overreacting to the situation. But the main reason I like them is I read that the Patriots are 0-3 this year against scrambling quarterbacks or quarterbacks who can run. They got crushed at home against Justin Fields and the Bears in Week 7, I think it was, 33-14. They lost to the Ravens earlier at home, and last week they lost to the Bills. Josh Allen can run. So they can't compete with the guy who can run, and no one's harder to tackle than Kyler Murray. He still has that distinction over Justin Fields, in my opinion. He's like the human Pac-Man or frog or whatever you want to call it. He's all over the place. So I think that's going to give the Patriots defense fits. If the Patriots win this game, I won't be surprised. I mean, to me, it's a huge coaching mismatch with Belichick and Kingsbury, and the Pats are off a mini bye with the short week with the extra rest from Thursday. But I don't really trust the Pats. I don't like their offense. So I think this game goes to overtime. I'm gonna take the Cardinals to win outright, getting 1.5. Close game, maybe even win by a point, 2-3 points, 27-24, something like that, 24-20, something. I think it's gonna be a weird game. So give me the Cardinals in an upset pick.
All right. I like the logic behind that one. I have a hard time picking the Cardinals as well. The infighting scares me, but I think you sold me on that one. For mine, I'm going to go with a team that I normally don't like to pick at all, but I'm going to do it anyway. The Cleveland Browns getting 6.5 points against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Bengals are a significantly better team. I think Deshaun Watson looked kind of rough this past week, but for whatever reason, they always play tough against the Cincinnati Bengals, and Joe Burrow has yet to beat them. Now, I don't think I'm going to get crazy here and say that they're going to outright win the game, but I think it'll be close. I'll say Bengals on a last-second field goal. Deshaun Watson looks a little bit better. They're getting their tight end back in Njoku, which will be nice to have another weapon. I think they're good enough to keep this one close. So I will take the Browns in a tight one.
All right, that leads to my bonus pick.
Yeah, let's do it. Hop right in.
I'll segue right into this one. I'm going with the Bengals here. You beat me head-to-head twice, I think, this year, so I'm probably going to lose this one too. But when I first looked at the line, the Bengals to me jumped out to me. The line was lower, though. I think it was 4.5 or 5.5, and it moved up. But I love the Bengals. To me, right now, if I had to tell you a team right now, Week 14, which team's going to win the Super Bowl, I feel it's going to be the Bengals right now. The way they're playing, I can't see anyone beating the Eagles in the NFC right now. So I think it's going to be like a Bengals-Eagles Super Bowl Week 14. But that could change in a few weeks. It's the NFL. The way they're playing, it's crazy to me how Joe Burrow, he's 0-4 against the Browns, as you said, right? But he's 3-0 against Mahomes and Kansas City. I mean, that just shows you how crazy the NFL is. But I love what the Bengals are doing here. To me, they're probably one of the most complete teams. And the way Burrow's playing, he's putting himself into the MVP conversation. And they're playing like a Super Bowl contender. They won 4 in a row. The last loss was the game you mentioned, the Monday night game against the Browns. I actually love the Browns in that game for similar reasons because Burrow had never beaten them. But Jamar Chase did not play in that game. He's playing in this game, and that's a huge deal, obviously. Joe Mixon's probably going to play. And the Browns, I mean, if you just look at scores, that last week's 27 points. You say, 27 points. Watson must have played well. Nope. They scored all their touchdowns, two on defense, 1 on a punt return. Texans should have covered that game. So, I don't know. I mean, everyone seems to be taking the Browns here because of the logic you're saying with the whole, Burrow can't beat them and the in-state rivalry and Watson's got to play better. But I don't know. I mean, Watson was really bad to me. And the way the Bengals team is playing, I don't see them having a letdown after beating Kansas City because they're right now they're the 5 seed in the AFC. They're not even having a home game because the Ravens have the tiebreaker over them. So I think they'll be motivated here, and maybe that whole having beaten the Browns can work in their favor here. So I like the Bengals to win by a touchdown, maybe like 31-24, something like that, 30-23. So I'll lay the 6.5.
All right, there we go. And for my bonus, I'm going to go with one. I feel like the books are trying to set you up here because the Minnesota Vikings are plus 1.5. And I feel like so many people are going to go, how are they underdogs to the Detroit Lions? And a ton of the money and a ton of the bets are going that way. I think the Lions can get this one done. I'm taking them minus 1.5. I've been doubting them for too long. You've been on my back about it. And they are a different team at home than they are on the road. They put up a ton of points at home. And that Vikings pass defense really isn't that good. The Lions should be able to march it right up and down the field. I think it'll be a high scoring game. I think maybe, a close game, like a last second field goal kind of wins it, but I'll say something like 33-30, a wild one where the Detroit Lions pull it out in the end. I
agree. I love the line this week. To me, the line is completely right. And, I almost made it my bonus pick, but then I think I remembered you had it, so I didn't want to do the same pick. But, if you remember the first time they played, week 3, Vikings won 28-24 in that game, right? The Lions were up 14-0 in that game. And late in the game, 24-21, Dan Campbell went for like a 50-something yard field goal to go up 6, right? Instead of going for the first down, fourth and short. And then, of course, the Vikings came down and scored, won the game. After the game, I made a mental note of that. He was so upset. I don't know if you remember his post-game news conference. He was so upset, and he was saying how I let my team down. We should have went for the win there. The Lions, I mean, if you look at the schedule, I know it's your pick, but I'm talking more than you. If you look at the schedule, the Vikings, I mean, they're 10-2 with the plus 10 point differential. They're 9-0 one-score games. It's amazing. So you got to give them credit for that. But at the same time, to me, a couple of bounces don't go their way. Look at last week's Jet game. Jets probably should have won that game. This could be the Lions who want to, Lions beat the Bills. This could easily be like similar records. 7-5 versus 7-5. So I think the Lions are the right side here. I think they're going to win the game, and I think there's a ton of motivation. Also, the Vikings can clinch the division with a win. So I think that's another angle that Campbell can build up.
There you go. All right, so let's run through these real quick. Both Joe and I are on the Jets plus 9.5 against the Bills. As for the Eagles and Giants, we both like the Eagles minus 6.5. Our game of the week, 49ers and Bucks, going with the 49ers minus 3.5. My best bet, Dolphins minus 3.5 over the Chargers. Joe is going with the Chiefs minus 9.5 against the Broncos. Underdog pick, I like the Browns plus 6.5. Joe is going with the Cardinals plus 1.5 against the New England Patriots. Joe's on the other side of the Bengals and Browns matchup, going with the Bengals as his bonus minus 6.5. And as I just stated, Lions minus 1.5 for me to close it out. Best of luck as always this week, Joe. Thanks for joining me, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, Matt. Great job. Thank you.